Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are having an awesome day and an amazing life. This past weekend, I attended my very first protest. Just got off the train, and we are here at the protest. While at the protest, I realized that America has three sides: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in this video, I wanted to talk about those three sides. Number one, the good. There's so much good in America, and being at the protest reminded me of that good. The good that is in the people of this country. The very fabric of this country are its citizens, and its citizens are good. Now obviously we're going to have the outstrippers, the outliers, the bad apples, but the majority of its citizens are good. They're willing to stand up for the truth. They're willing to raise their voice for the voiceless. And being at the protest reminded me of that fact. There were over 400,000 people that showed up at the protest. People that gave up their time and their money, their weekend, traveled from all over America to DC just to protest, to let their government know that they are not comfortable with their tax money being used to kill innocent children, women, men.
But I want that free Palestine to be a place where we're able to bring together human beings in such a way that, yes, we would be concerned about Jewish safety and security. Nobody's calling for the annihilation of Jewish brothers and sisters, but you'll never have Jewish security. You'll never have Jewish safety if you don't have Palestinian security, if you don't have Palestinian safety. That's what we're talking about. We want equality. We want equality. We want equality.
The good runs through the veins of the people, because what I saw there was absolutely beautiful. Different groups, different cultures, different backgrounds, different people with different views on different ideologies, where they would perhaps not agree on some other topics. They all were here united for this topic. There's so many people here. It's amazing. I don't know what this is about. This thing here. So they have they're dressed as birds almost. So I'm gonna ask what that's about. Let's ask. They're from a theater company here called Bread and Public Theater, and the bird represents freedom and peace. And this reminded me of the good of America, not only in its people, but also in our government, in our democracy. The fact that the First Amendment gives us, the citizens, the right to peacefully protest and let the government know where we stand on issues in this country.
I have to look for you.
Thank you. I totally agree with that sign. Being born and raised in this country, we sometimes are looking at the world through a pinhole. We don't realize that what we have in America is not the case in other countries. For example, China, you cannot peacefully protest or protest at all, because doing so would cause you to be at risk for your life, risk of your job, or the risk to your family. At the protest, I saw people being very critical of the president, calling and nicknaming the current president Genocide Joe. We were able to be very critical of the government, be very critical of the president of the United States of America. Now, that's a position of power unequal to any other position of power that's held in any other government anywhere across the entire world. The fact that we, the citizens, have the ability written in our First Amendment, we can criticize and be very critical of our government when they are not doing what we, the majority of the people, want. That is a beautiful thing. That's a very amazing thing. And that's something that makes this country good. Number two, the bad. Now with anything in life, there's always good and bad. We shouldn't shy away from the bad. We shouldn't shy away from highlighting where we're deficient and where we're failing. Because it's only when we have that conversation that we can bring to light what needs to be fixed. And the bad in this country is that our government has this disconnect with the people. The bad is that no matter how many people sometimes might come together to protest, to raise their voices against an issue, the government has powerful people, powerful lobbyists, people with money and immense pull whispering in the ears of our government officials. And this is the bad of this country. Number three, the ugly. I don't think anybody is naive enough to think that this country has no ugliness in its past. Now, another very ugly aspect of this country is the way that the media subjugates its citizens into various silos of us and them. Republican, Democrat, red, blue. This kind of journalism is not really journalism. This kind of journalism is a very opinionated, very biased journalism. This kind of journalism is actually a detriment to the citizens. It's actually a detriment to society at large, because what it does is it further divides the people. People that watch Fox News, they only watch Fox News. And what Fox News says, they're saying it with an immense bias. Same thing with CNN. Same thing with pretty much all of the reporting agencies out there. And this is a very ugly thing, where you once had journalists that were held in high esteem because they reported unbiased, without their opinions, just the pure facts. Now, you don't have that. You have highly opinionated journalism. And this is an ugliness that's becoming more and more prevalent, not only in the United States, but in the rest of the world.
Safety of our bubbles, I don't feel safe as a Palestinian. I never have. Ever since I was a kid, I felt the target on my back.
All of these things culminate and lead to the ugliest thing of all: division amongst the citizens. Division not only amongst the citizens in this country, but between us and the rest of the world. There's a very famous book that has been refuted. A lot of scholars agree. A lot of scholars say that there's a lot more to it than this, but we had to read this book in college, and it was called The Clash of Civilization. And in theory, I understand what the author was saying. That if you, as a superpower, go into a country and completely decimate their government, kill their people, and expect that those people are going to somehow forgive you, love you, and be okay with what you did, that's a pretty ugly thing to do. This causes resentment. This causes disconnect. This sows within the hearts of people this aspect of ugliness, of wanting to have revenge, of wanting to hate the person that came into their country, into their homes, and laid waste to their families. And this is a very ugly thing from the start of American history to now. This is something that I hope and I pray that we as citizens can realize is wrong. And I think for the most part, most of us do. Most of us, most of the citizens of this country will agree. We don't want wars. We don't want bloodshed. We don't want our tax money being used in an excess to fund the military, to fund these private companies that are making these weapons of mass destruction. And not only that, that our country directly funds Israel. Directly funds Israel, even though we are in immense debt. They are funding Israel to the tune of $1 billion so that they can carry out this heinous genocide. And that is the ugliness of this country. And we have to talk about it, which brings us full circle to the first point, the good of this country. The good of this country is always going to be within its people. the good of this country, the change that's going to take place in this country, it's always going to come from its citizens, from you, from me. That we are able to speak up, we are able to protest. We have the power with our vote to change the current government, but we have to do this by being united. Overall, I left the protest with a lot of hope in my heart. I felt a sense of awe, a sense of inspiration, and a sense of amazement that all of these people, 400,000 is not a light number, that they chose to come for this protest. They chose to march in front of the White House. Citizens of this amazing country chose to put away their differences and come together united on this issue. And this is something that we need more of in this country. There's so much division that's occurring in this country, more and more and more. And there's certain things that happen once in a while that unite us all. But even in this, I am not naive, and neither should you be. There are those people in this country that want nothing to do with this. They want nothing to do with Palestinian people gaining their freedom. They blame Hamas. They blame Hamas for the fact that whatever Israel is doing is justified. So there's always going to be the bad. There's always going to be the ugly. But we have to always stand for the good. And if we do that, then we can set an example. Not only for our citizens, not only for our fellow brothers and sisters, but for the rest of the world. To show them that, hey, look, we showed up. We spoke for the voiceless. We stood shoulder to shoulder, voices raised high, pointing the finger at injustice and saying enough is enough, and calling out our government for all of their problems and all of their lackluster, deficient methods of using their power and money to subjugate the poor people in Palestine to this cruelty, to this genocide, to this bloodshed. 20,000 plus people have died in this unnecessary war. That's pretty ugly. That's pretty ugly. My goal for this video is singular, to show you, the audience, the power when people come together united to speak out against injustice, to speak out against violence, murder, bloodshed, babies being killed, that we have this power, the power to make a substantial change. But we can only do that if we come together. And I want to end with this. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said something very amazing. He stated that if God wanted, he could have made our fingers all the same length, same size, but he didn't. He chose to make them all different. And that is our strength. For with these different fingers, we can articulate and we can do amazing things that even robots have a hard time doing. But it's because we have the differences. It's our differences that we can come together and be strong. It's only when I put all of my fingers together that I am strong. Apart, we are weak. So I urge you to put aside your bias. If there's anything that we the people should be united on, is that it is just not right for babies and children and women being killed for no reason. I think we can all agree on this. And being at the protest, seeing 400,000 people all agreeing on that fact inspired me. This shows us that there's a movement happening. This shows us that people are really tired of the way that their governments are representing the people. And we the people say no. We the people say enough is enough. We the people say stop the genocide in Palestine.